Welcome to another episode of AI 10X brought to you by 10 Leaves. I want you to just step fully into the future with us for a moment. Imagine a reality where, say, a really bad injury doesn't mean permanent loss, or, a failing organ doesn't put you on some life or death wait list. Instead, the body is just guided somehow to rebuild itself
Yeah.
perfectly, cell by cell. That's the incredible promise, really, of AI-driven regenerative medicine.
Yeah, it honestly sounds like pure science fiction, doesn't it? But,
Yeah.
our sources show this is actually where things are headed, the kind of speed and precision that AI brings to the lab. It's really transforming things that were just like theoretical biology into engineered reality. So our mission today is to unpack exactly how AI is helping us get better at this whole self-repair idea, moving beyond just, treating symptoms
Yeah.
and towards actually regenerating healthy tissue.
Okay, let's dive into the technical stuff then. The core of this revolution. When we talk about AI speeding up breakthroughs here, it seems like it starts at the most basic level, right? Cell fate. How is AI helping us crack the code of stem cell differentiation?
Right. Well, it really gets at the nonlinearity of biology.
Yeah.
Differentiation. That's the process of guiding say, a generic stem cell to become something specific, right? Like a specialized pancreatic cell, maybe, or a heart muscle cell that actually works. It's just overwhelmingly complex. It's not like flipping one switch. It's more like conducting an orchestra of, I don't know, hundreds of chemical signals, growth factors, even physical forces.
Sure.
Historically, researchers would spend years just manually tweaking things like nutrient cocktails in the lab,
Yeah.
just hoping basically to stumble onto the right combination.
That phrase, hoping to stumble, that really hits it, doesn't it? It sounds like an incredibly slow, painstaking trial and error process. So what specific AI tools or methods are actually mapping this path now?
Well, the sources are pointing heavily towards specialized deep learning and reinforcement learning models. So instead of the researchers just sort of guessing and checking, the AI model gets fed just enormous amounts of data. Things like genomic sequencing, epigenetic information, even time-lapse videos of cells growing in different conditions. And the AI learns. It learns to predict the best sequence of signals, the environmental cues needed to push a cell towards the type we want. And it does it way more efficiently.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this. If a research team needs, say, a patch of liver tissue, the AI isn't just giving them a simple recipe like use these 3 chemicals.
Yeah.
It's more like it's simulating millions, maybe billions of possible pathways, mapping out the quickest, most reliable route to get that perfect liver cell, that hepatocyte. It's like giving us a precise, dynamic roadmap for building biological structures.
That's a great way to put it. Exactly. It sort of bypasses the need for a human to understand every single tiny interaction between maybe 50 different growth factors simultaneously. The AI finds these subtle patterns, these high-dimensional correlations hidden in the data that lead to success. It acts like a cellular GPS, really, guiding those basic cells to become the specific building blocks needed for tissue engineering.
Okay, so that's function number 1, guiding what to build, the perfect cellular blueprint. But a blueprint's not much use if the factory conditions aren't right. So what's the second big role AI plays here? Optimizing the manufacturing process, making it repeatable, scalable.
Right, and that first part leads directly into the second. Optimization and scalability. It's seamless because once you have that blueprint for differentiation, you still need to grow that tissue, maybe in a bioreactor, and you need to do it efficiently, reliably, safely, every single time. And this is where AI just shines because it can handle immense volumes of data way beyond human capacity.
We hear that phrase a lot, AI analyzing millions of lab results. Can you break that down a bit? Like, what kind of data streams are we talking about? What specific things is AI tracking that, a human researcher just couldn't possibly keep up with?
Yeah, we're talking about constant multi-stream data. So things like high-throughput genomic data, measuring how gene expression changes almost moment by moment, analyzing all the cytokines and metabolites, basically the chemical soup the cells are living in. And maybe the most exciting part is detailed analysis from time-lapse microscopy using computer vision. So AI models can track the precise shape, movement, density of maybe billions of cells all at the same time.
Wow. So it's not just checking if the cells are alive or dead. It's measuring these tiny micro-level things, like how well cells are communicating or if the physical forces in their environment are right for growth.
Precisely. Take, for instance, the scaffold. The cells grow on the culture substrate. Its stiffness, its porosity, these things are critical. AI analyzes all the data coming in to find the best material, the best composition, and also the ideal flow dynamics, like how the liquid nutrients move around to make sure every cell gets fed properly and that they feel the right physical cues. Maybe it's a pumping action for heart cells or shear stress for blood vessel cells, things like that.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. We've got AI solving the design problem, the differentiation, and at the same time, it's solving the manufacturing problem, the optimization. If you put those two together, I mean, we're genuinely talking about the potential for, like, industrialized, reliable organ repair, aren't we?
We really are. And yeah, if we zoom out to the bigger picture, the sort of high-level application of this AI-boosted tissue engineering, it just has immense, really long-term potential for actual clinical medicine.
So let's ground this for the listener. What does this actually mean? What are some of the most promising, maybe tangible examples of where this is heading, like in a hospital setting? What are the sources saying might be the next big target?
Well, the potential applications are pretty stunning. We're moving way beyond just simple skin grafts now. AI-driven tissue engineering could, one day, let doctors grow specialized tissue patches for really complex organs. Think about like bioprinted heart patches to repair damage after a heart attack. That's a big one. Or maybe engineered liver tissue to help patients with cirrhosis get back function.
And that's key, isn't it? It's not just about living longer, it's about restoring the quality of life.
Absolutely. That's a huge part of the promise. The sources also talk about rapid progress in areas like corneal transplants, where AI is guiding the growth of very specific retinal cells. And there's a lot of research into neural tissue engineering, too, trying to create biological scaffolds to help potentially regenerate spinal cords after injury. But the ultimate goal, the sort of holy grail everyone talks about, is growing entire organs on demand, which could potentially wipe out the whole transplant waitlist problem with all its ethical and medical issues.
Wow. Organs on demand. That really is the ultimate biological mastery, isn't it? But let's tap the brakes for a second, because the potential is just staggering, but reality always bites back, right? We know biology is just inherently messy and complex. So shifting gears slightly, what are the big roadblocks? What's holding this back today?
Yeah, that's fair. The sources seem to point to two main categories of challenge. First, there's just the inherent, unavoidable biological complexity, especially when you try to scale things up. Like, we might be able to grow a small, perfect little patch of tissue in a lab dish in a bioreactor, but scaling that up to a full-size functioning organ, or making sure that engineered tissue integrates perfectly with the patient's own blood vessels and nerves, that remains an absolutely astronomical challenge.
And what about the body itself fighting back? The immune system. If AI designs this perfect tissue based on lab data, how does it possibly account for the chaos of a real human immune system, that rejection risk?
That's a really critical point. Yes, AI can get very good at predicting cell behavior in a controlled environment, but building in strategies for immune evasion, making sure the body doesn't just see this new tissue as foreign and attack it, that's still a major area of active research. Because if the body rejects it, well, the whole thing fails, obviously. So the AI models have to get much better at factoring in that whole immunological side, which means they need even more complex data.
Okay, complexity. That makes sense. And that probably leads straight into the second big hurdle mentioned in the sources, regulation. I mean, anytime you're talking about growing new human bits or reprogramming cells, the regulatory pathway has got to be incredibly careful, meticulous.
Oh, it absolutely has to be. You've got bodies like the FDA in the US or the EMA in Europe, and they face really unique challenges with this kind of AI-driven medicine.
Yeah.
How do you even validate an AI system that might be constantly learning and refining itself, updating its own parameters? Traditional drug approval is usually focused on like a static pill or device. But here the product is actually a dynamic process guided by an AI, which regulators might worry is a bit of a black box. They need transparency. So ensuring safety, proving long-term viability, making sure it's accessible, it all adds significant but very necessary friction to the process.
Right. Regulation is crucial. You need it to make sure the science doesn't outrun safety. So that tension between the incredibly fast learning curve of AI and the necessarily slow, careful pace of clinical trials and regulation, that seems like the main dynamic we're seeing right now.
Exactly right. And that dynamic is what keeps the field grounded, keeps it responsible. But, and this is important, the overall takeaway from the sources is still quite optimistic. Despite these hurdles, progress is happening, and it's happening at a really unprecedented speed. This integration of AI just means that things that seemed almost impossible in biology not that long ago, like programming a cell precisely or mastering how tissues integrate, they're becoming reality much, much faster than anyone really anticipated.
That's a fantastic summary. So from crunching literally millions of data points to guiding DNA instructions to figuring out the perfect growth environment, AI really is emerging as the central tool in helping humanity get towards, well, mastering biological self-repair.
It really is. And, that leads to maybe a final kind of provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. If AI does grant us this ability to rapidly master biological systems, if we genuinely reach a point where we can grow organs on demand, reliably reverse tissue damage, how does that fundamentally change everything? The ethics of medicine, access to healthcare. When the impossible starts becoming a reality, you have to wonder how our social contract, even our definition of a healthy lifespan, changes right along with it.
That's a powerful question to end on. Definitely food for thought. This was a deep dive into AI and regenerative medicine. Thank you so much for joining us. This was episode 39 of AI 10X, presented by 10 Leaves. Next up, AI and the microbiome.